all hands on deck for Republicans and the Trump campaign, sources tell us, as the Trump team shifts strategy to try to cut off Kamala Harris's momentum.
Obviously, the Democrats are on a sugar high. Everybody's acknowledged that. And I think that gets real after Labor Day. If you look over the history of all presidential election years, I mean, that's when people really begin to pay attention. So the rhetoric and the little bounce they get out of the convention is always expected. But I think that Kamala Harris is about to be put to the real test.
Now, that was House Speaker Mike Johnson there on the campaign trail this weekend. And this week, Trump's team is ramping up his schedule in battleground states ahead of his first debate with Harris. CNN's Elena Treen joins us now. So, Elena, I mean, look, first of all, just tell us more about how the Trump campaign is ramping up their efforts. Let's start there.
Okay, well, look, I mean, I think there's no question, Omar, that the Trump campaign sees what is happening with the Harris campaign. They have been frustrated, we've talked about this for weeks now, with the surge of enthusiasm that Harris has continued to enjoy. We actually saw a memo from Trump's pollsters that they released on Saturday saying that kind of post Harris becoming the candidate honeymoon that they had anticipated was going to extend beyond the convention, saying that some of the favorable polls that she's enjoying are expected to continue longer than they had initially anticipated. And really, we are seeing the Trump campaign shift their strategy because they have this new opponent. That includes ramping up aggressively Donald Trump's schedule. Remember, Donald Trump does not really travel as much as a typical candidate. He was really holding about 2 rallies a week up until recently. I'm told that is changing for the next few weeks between now and November, the next 2 months, I should say. They are going to really ramp up that schedule. You're going to see him traveling daily, many weeks, if not holding 2 events per day. I'm told, one Trump advisor told me, think Trump on steroids. This is going to be an all hands on deck approach. But they're also really trying to target some of the early voting states. We know early voting kicks off in North Carolina in just 11 days, as well as in other states throughout September. They're really going to be targeting their ground game strategy to kind of hit those states with that focus on who are the voters going to the polls first. And then, of course, you're also seeing Donald Trump behind the scenes simultaneously prep for that September 10th debate. So they have a lot going on. Now, I think to keep in mind here is that this strategy is completely different from the one that they had when President Joe Biden was still at the top of the Democratic ticket. I can tell you, I mean, after the RNC convention in July, Trump's team was really measuring the drapes. They thought that they were going to have a much easier kind of glide path to November. That has been completely upended by Harris. And again, the enthusiasm and the surging favorability that she is seeing that they didn't necessarily anticipate. And so a lot of these changes behind the scene directly tied to their new opponent that they're still trying to grapple with.
There are 71 days until Election Day. That is just over 2 months between now and November 5th. The election entering a critical phase because the first ballots can be cast in just 11 days. That's the start of mail-in voting in North Carolina. And less than a week after that, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are scheduled to face off at what is currently the one and only debate between them on the calendar. The week after that, Trump could face sentencing for his 34 felony convictions in his New York hush money trial. He has requested that be postponed. Just a few days later, the first polling sites will open as early voting gets underway in Virginia. And as these days tick by, both campaigns trying to build momentum.
So let's get out there. Let's fight for it. Let's get out there. Let's vote for it. And together.
The Harris campaign announcing on Sunday they've raised a staggering $540 million since Biden dropped out of the race. And this week, Harris and her running mate Tim Walz will campaign together in the key state of Georgia. The former president, meanwhile, still adjusting to this changed election. CNN has learned Trump's campaign is trying to aggressively expand his schedule. A source says that he's likely to hold several events every week, including regularly visiting 2 states in a day. One advisor telling CNN, quote, I think Trump on steroids. It'll be all hands on deck. For weeks, Republicans have pressured Trump to focus on policy on the campaign trail. Here's how that landed in Arizona on Friday.
They lied so much. They lied about everything. They really were nasty. And then they say to me, sir, please stick to policy. Don't stick to personality. You should be nice to people, sir. You have to be nice. I have to get personal, don't I? I have to get personal. I have to get personal. They get personal. But I'm going to do my best. So they're allowed to get personal with me, but I'm not allowed to get personal to them.
Okay, panels here. Alex Thompson, CNN political analyst and national politics reporter for Axios. Megan Hayes, former director of message planning for the Biden White House. And Matt Gorman, former senior advisor to Tim Scott's presidential campaign. Alex, I should formally welcome you to the CNN team. Yes. Thank you so much for being part of it. We're thrilled to have you on board. Let me start with you because, again, I mean, we are entering this critical phase. It's the last week of August. You know, the Labor Day sprint starts a week from today. Early voting, as we noted, really very close here. And now you have Trump raising questions about whether or not he's going to participate in the ABC News debate, right? He posted on Truth Social criticizing Jonathan Karl, one of the interviews he did on Sunday, said, why should I do a debate against Kamala Harris on that network? Do you think this debate's actually going to happen? And what are you looking for as this sprint starts?
I mean, it'd be irresponsible for me to predict what Donald Trump will do with regards to this debate. You know, a lot of this is him working the refs, and that's typical of his, just the way he goes about it. Part of the reason, I still remember like this one great line from back in 2015 is he says, I whine until I win. And I feel like that's often like his modus operandi. He's trying to build leverage, but at the end of the day, you never know. He could just say, no thanks, when we'll try to do it somewhere else. But I do think there is going to be at least one, if not two, debates this fall.
I have trouble buying the idea that he's actually going to drop out of this, but...
No, he's not. He's not. I mean, he likes the will they or won't they, right? He knows how to work not only the refs, but also the media a little bit. He wants them kind of having a little bit of intrigue around it. And look, to your point, go back to Father's Day, June 16th. The same time from Father's Day to now is from now to the election day, 71 days on either side.
And you think about the number of things that happen in that period of time.
In that period of time. So I love, you have to remember, go back and look at your calendar, what you're doing on that day. So you're right. He loves the intrigue around this. And you're right. I've heard that exact same thing from the Trump campaign. They're going to step up the events. There's going to be a lot more of them. You're going to see both JD and Trump doing separate events on the road, where I think, at least right now, Kamala and Tim Walz tend to do events together. So that also, as you know, it hampers their ability to go to multiple places in a day. If you're separated, you could be a little bit nimbler since you have all the folks coming in at once. So watch for that as well.
Megan Hayes, I was reading Maureen Dowd's column over the weekend, and as she concluded it, I thought she did a nice job of capturing, Harris has had all the momentum at her back, right? She's coming out of the convention. Trump still is kind of struggling to figure out how to criticize her. But this is how Maureen put it. She says, quote, Kamala came across as tough talking about the military and foreign policy in her speech, but there are many tests yet to come, including vicious Trump attack lines, eventually a difficult interview, and next month's debate. She has to show she has what it takes once she steps away from the teleprompter. Can she manage to get through a minimum of policy stuff with no viral blunders? Kamala holds the hopes of a lot of people in the country who are praying that she doesn't fall on her face in the next 72 days. She can take heart that she's driving Trump crazy. He's jealous of her looks, her crowd sizes, her star power, and her vivacious, bodacious vibes. There's some Maureen words for you. That's a good start. It seemed to me to capture, there are still potentially some major tests for Harris ahead of us.
Yeah, she has to continue doing what she's been doing since she became the top of the ticket. She has to carry that for the next 71 days. The good thing is it's only 71 days, and she has the momentum right now, and she is under Trump's skin. So the more he's out there, the more stuff he's going to say, which will just be more evidence for people, the contrast of the kind of person he is and the president that he was and will be again versus her. So if she can continue doing what she is doing for the next 71 days, we will be in good shape.
One thing to just add to that, some Democrats were surprised that Kamala Harris did not do the traditional barnstorming right after the convention. Usually you finish a successful convention, you do a ton of rallies. She took the weekend off, and I think some Democrats were a bit surprised that why not, keep your foot on the gas.
Yeah. Alex, what is your your latest reporting digging into the Harris and Biden? We've seen Biden is taking another week of vacation. The Harris team is going to, there's been these kind of rumors floating around there that they're setting up to do a major interview. Are they going to do that? Are we going to see her out there in that way? Are they thinking they might be able to survive for weeks without it?
I mean, they're definitely going to do an interview. Now, the question is, who is it with? Is it with a much more friendly host? Is it with a more serious, like a serious, in-depth interview? How long is it? Is it edited? Is it live? Like, all of these questions are what, and part of Harris's caution, extraordinary caution when it comes to interviews, is why some Democrats were nervous about making her the nominee. It's why people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer were more in favor of like an open process, because the fact is that almost all of her worst moments as vice president have come in live interviews.
She needs to do an interview. I get it. And a political operative in me, I understand why she's hesitant. However, the other side of this is that I've seen this with candidates after candidate. Debate prep is also media prep, and media prep is debate prep. You hear the lines, you can refine your arguments, you get better. Every candidate I've ever worked with gets better the more they do interviews, because they get sharper and they know what really outside of the bubble, what the people are going to attack them on or question them on.